Hey everyone, welcome to Think Twice Rocker Advice. I'm your host Elijah. It is so good to see you. Here we are, a week into the new year. I blame the problems of society right now. You want to know who to blame? Problems of society. You don't like how it's going right now? You want to know who to blame for all of the problems of society? I'll tell you who to blame. Common Core math. Common Core math. Why? I'm not taking my stand as an elder spokesperson because the way things used to be and it was better then and there was nothing wrong with it and why did we go and just change something that was working in the first place? No, that's not what I'm doing. What I want to do is I want to point out something. I want to point out that what Common Core math does is it takes away the ability to simply look at the way things really are. It used to be simple. If 1 plus 1 equals something, it will be 2. It's addition. If 1 take away 1 equals something, it's simple. It's subtraction. It will be nothing. But now we have to have a process. It's like, well, maybe it's this way because of that. Well, how in the world does that apply to the problems of society? In this way. In this way. Let's just say someone who is embracing the mindset of it's not that simple. There's more elements to be considered here before making these decisions. See, someone who thinks in Common Core like that is the kind of guy who throws out these statements of, I'll never apologize for loving my kids. Why do I say that? Because no one asked the guy to apologize for loving his kids. He's saying that in the middle of a subtraction problem. The subtraction problem is this. You have a whole thing, a whole number, and then you do negative things, and the negative thing subtracts from that whole number. Now, the positive of I always love my kids so much, that was already there. There's no new addition of a positive. You're pointing out something, sir, that's always been there. But then your negative action of perhaps your wife caught you sending pictures of your private parts next to a Snickers bar to compare the sizes of the two to her friend, maybe the subtraction of that causes the mind of the person you're working with in the problem, your wife, perhaps her mindset of allowing you to have custody of the kids and wanting you to see the kids anymore is a little clouded because of the negative that you brought to the table. And so your whole thing of I'll never apologize for loving my kids because you're in the middle of a custody battle for your kids. Listen, sir, it's the negative that you brought to the table. But Common Core math allows us to say, yeah, but it's not as simple as that. See, if you'll take this factor over here and that factor over here and that factor, no. There was a whole. There was a negative thing that subtracted from the whole, and now what you're doing is pointing out what was already there. You loved your kids. No one's questioning that you love your kids. The question is, what kind of character are you to raise these kids? And it could be that you're a perfect character. I'm not saying you should lose custody of your kids. I'm not saying you should lose rights to see your kids. I'm just saying that your inability to see the simplistic nature of how you have subtracted with your negative action, that, ladies and gentlemen, is Common Core math. And that's what we're dealing with in society. Right now, society can't conclude simple things because everything has to be dealt with emotion. Now, I'm an emoting kind of guy. I'm in tune with my sensitive side. I'm wearing eyeliner right now. I'm not on here trying to prove how manly I am and tough I am, but I'm saying an absence of masculine, just cognitive, this is this and that is that, that needs to be included, not excluded, from the factors of society today. Women, I celebrate you, but I will say that for the most part, women have usually operated more on emotion. And yes, we need emotions because you can't raise kids without being able to emote. You have to have both. But what I'm saying is in society right now, there's an absence and a celebration of removal of what would be just the common factors. Common Core is a huge factor right now. And I submit to you that possibly we should celebrate both sides. Both sides of being able to see a thing as simple as addition and subtraction, and being able to say, yes, but here's some gray areas. Because I do believe in gray areas. I do believe that there are factors involved in every situation that only the people involved in that situation know about. But that's what therapy's for. That's what counseling is for. That's what those kind of things are for. When it comes to the overall, we need to stop acting as if we don't understand that negative takes away from the whole. And that you can't point out the positive that was already part of the whole sum and say this should make up the difference for the negative that just took away from. No. You have to. That's why I always tell people, if you're in the middle of something, give the healing of that and the restoration of that equal time to heal as it did to hurt, okay? It took this much time to build up. It's going to take at least this much time to build back up. Does that make sense? And it helps us conclude that we don't want to do those things anymore. Why? Because it costs us. That which costs us nothing, we don't really care about. So if we don't have to pay a price, consequences always, I believe this, consequence is always the greatest factor in changing of behavior. Grace is great. We get grace from God. God, we thank you for your grace and your mercies. Yes, we are one with you. But what changes us down here? See, I'll always have grace on my relationship between me and God. God really doesn't even care. Like if I go out and just on a binger and I just I go missing for 2 weeks and I'm just gone. My relationship with God is not in jeopardy. God's in heaven. He's going to be up here in, possibly sooner than we planned on, but he's going to be here for eternity. We're good. My jeopardy involves the things here on earth, the things of my job, my work, my bills, my family, all that kind of stuff like that. So my negative, it will continue if there's no price to be paid. Consequence is the greatest bringer of change. Consequence is the greater bringer of change. So possibly, sir, maybe don't send pictures of your privates up against the Snickers bar to your wife's friend. That's, and also, we know that Snicker bar wasn't king size. So I want to tell you about a story of what happened to my daughter concerning Doc Martens boots. This was a few years ago. It was Christmas time. She really wanted a pair of Doc Martens boots, okay? And I got her those. Cost $175, I believe, for the Doc Martens boots. I got them at Journeys in the mall, and I was really excited because she really wanted those. And in the winter time during Christmas break, during school, it's like you have to wait that amount of time, and then you can present whatever it is you want. You got new clothes, then you go to that first week of school, you can see what everyone got for Christmas. Well, she was saving these. She was so excited. She was saving the wearing of these Doc Martens boots for the first day of school. Well, here's what happened. Our dog, Charles the Chug, half Chihuahua, half Pug, got into her room, got the boots, and chewed one of the boots up on the toe. And he just chewed it and chewed it, and his teeth marks were all in there. And there was no way it could be scuffed out. It was like, you could wear them for sure, but it was not like it was clearly just gnawing all on it. Not just scuffed, not just a little bit. No. This was like gnawed up and knotted up and chunks missing out of it. And my daughter was so distraught. She was crying and she was saying, it doesn't matter anyway. It doesn't matter anyway. And I knew that was coming from a deeper place. And I was like, it does matter. It matters. This is you. This is your present. This is your booth. Now, here's the deal. As the dad, I'm just going to be honest with you. I didn't have another $175. And so I took the boots back to Journeys and I showed them, and they said, there's nothing we can do. Like, that's, a dog chewed these up, and I was like, all right. And they said, you might want to call Doc Martens and just see, talk to him. And so I called, and it was actually like in Switzerland or something like that. It wasn't like a U.S. office. This was like the national or the global headquarters. I called. That's the number they gave me. Not they gave me, but I researched and came up with it. And I talked to the first person. And the first person said, yeah, they said, well, I'll put you through to somebody, but it doesn't sound hopeful, but just hold on, And so then they sent me to the next person, and the next person, I explained it to them, the dog. I said, can you just sell me one boot? Can you just sell me one boot? I can come up with that money, maybe scrape it up. And they said, it's not, there's nothing in our policy that, says that this is covered. It's certainly not, your dog chewed it, it leaves marks of that. They said, but just hold on one second. I was on the phone for about 30 minutes back and forth with people. Everyone was super kind, super nice, very even apologetic for the action that my dog took. It wasn't their fault. And then they told me, they said, here's what we're going to do. What size, what model? They had me read the numbers off of it. And they said, okay, we're sending out in the mail today, we're sending you a new pair of boots. And when you can and get around to it, in that same box, with the return label on there, we're going to put it in there. If you can ship the ones that got damaged, if you can just ship those back to us, but just in your own time, no rush on that. But we're sending you a new pair of boots. I was blown away because nothing in their policy. This is a big company. Doc Martens is no joke. I love Doc Martens, but this is a big company. And for them to have a customer come to them and say, this is not your fault, this is my fault, but here's the situation, and my daughter was trying to, she wanted to wear them for school, and she's distraught, can I just buy one thing? They completely blew past their policy and went straight to the person. And that's what I want to encourage us on the episode today, to think twice, rocker advice. The second thought I want us to have, the thinking twice I want us to have, is beyond our policy or beyond what we have the right to do and require when it comes to people. I think that we should look at people over policy. Now, there's going to be the policies there on purpose, okay? But our purpose should be people. Policy should be established for the purpose of people. That doesn't mean everyone gets everything free. That doesn't mean everyone gets everything they want at all times. But it does mean that we consider the person before we consider the policy. And when we're making policies, we're making them based off the betterment and good of the people that we serve, because that's who we are as a company, as a corporation, as an individual. We are here to serve others. Now, yes, we have to make a profit so that way we can make a livelihood, we can pay our employees, we can do all that stuff. But when it comes down to it, we are in this thing, in this game, in this life, to add to the lives of others. Does that make sense? Think twice, rocker advice. I sure thank you for joining me. Doc Martens, thank you. Sure do need a good corporate sponsor for this podcast. I wouldn't mind having a few boot logos behind me. Y'all have a great day. Peace.